Well, I just got back from my trade for the J200. Let's see what I got. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Guitar Gear Trader channel. I'm Steve, and if you watched my last video, you know that I was attempting to trade Gibson J-200 for something, right? In that last video, I mentioned two possible trades, and one of the possible trades was a 1971 Les Paul Custom, and the other possible trade was a newer Martin D41. And if you want to go through and check out that last video, I'll link it at the end of this one, and you can go learn all about the J200. But I am back from my trade, and what I ended up getting after a lot of research was, ta-da, 1971, all original except for the tuners, Gibson Les Paul Custom in ebony. Absolutely love this thing. And I wasn't sure how I was going to like it because I've played old Gibsons before. I had a 1980 Gibson Les Paul Custom in Heritage Cherry Sunburst. Came with factory original chrome hardware. And I am really partial to the black customs with the gold hardware. This is... You don't get cooler than this. This is the coolest guitar ever made, I think. It's badass, right? You can wear this at a fancy yacht club, playing a gig. You can put on your jean jacket and rock out with this guitar. It really does it all. But the 1981 that I had, two problems with it. Number one, it weighed an absolute ton. I never actually weighed it to see how much it actually weighed, but picking it up, every time I picked it up, I was like, oh, this is the heaviest guitar I own. And it had to be more than 11 pounds. It had to be. This one is way lighter, which I'm very surprised about, because the guy who I traded it to, or got it from, he said it weighed a ton. I am very pleased that this does not weigh all that much. It's really not too bad. It's a Les Paul. It's heavy, but it's not nearly as heavy as the one that I had. The other thing about the 1980 Les Paul, the cherry one that I had, was that it smelled like an ashtray that I could not get rid of the smell. I think the worst part of it was the chainsaw case that it came in, that I still have, unfortunately. The chainsaw case that it came with, I just think the inside of it is just so embedded with that smoke smell that I don't know if I'll ever get it out. I've been treating it with, like, baking soda and things like that, but it's not really getting too much better. But the guitar itself, everything was brown. All the binding was browned over. Like, this has a cool patina to it. This has a cool yellowish patina on it and on the headstock. But for the most part, it doesn't smell like smoke. It smells like an old guitar. It smells like grandma's house. But it doesn't smell like an ashtray. Where the other one, I every time I put it in my hands, my clothes smell like smoke. I smelled it. It wasn't good. And this one does not have that problem. One thing that I was worried about was, I know that these 70s, I didn't clean this up. I should clean this up. These 70s Les Pauls, they stopped making Les Pauls in like the mid 60s, right? From like 62 to 67, they didn't make Les Paul bodies like this. They called Les Pauls what we know as the SG bodies. These weren't good sellers. Like in the late 50s and early 60s, these Les Pauls were not good sellers. That's why they didn't make many of them. That's why the 59, 60s, 58 Les Pauls are so much money, because they didn't make many of them. And they switched over to the SG shape, but they didn't call it the SG. They called it the Les Paul. And Les Paul himself didn't like the body shape, so they made him. He made them take the name off of it, and then they started remaking these because people wanted them back in the like late '60s. I want to say '68 was the first time they brought the Les Paul back. In the '70s, okay, I want to say in 1970, they started to make things a little bit different. So they have a volute on them. I don't know if you can see the volute here. Okay, there's a little bump on the neck right here. That's called a volute. And that little volute is there because Gibsons are notorious for breaking at the headstocks. Okay, they're really known for breaking at the headstocks. You can see that little bump there. Okay, this little bump is supposed to strengthen this joint here so that hopefully they don't break their necks. And you see a lot of old broken neck Gibsons. This does not have a broken neck at all. Doesn't appear to be. I'd have to put a black light over it to make sure, but it doesn't appear to have any cracks. And the person I got it from, said there were no cracks on it. It does have the 6 number pressed in serial number 685240 with the Made in USA stamp under it. Once they hit 1970, you see the Made in USA stamps on the back of the headstocks. You can't see it on the camera. It's hard to even see it up close, but if you get it in the right light, you can see it. But what they did in the 70s was they did pancake bodies or sandwich bodies. And again, you can't see it on here because it's black, but there are 2 pieces of mahogany sandwiched together. And there's a seam that runs along the middle of this entire guitar, all around the body. And if this was a Heritage Cherry Sunburst with the red dye on the side, you'd be able to see that line really, really clearly. Or if it was a natural color guitar, or walnut, I guess, you'd be able to see. I can see the line in the light, but it's not very pronounced. You really have to get it in the proper light in order to see that line. Makes no difference to me at all because you can hardly see it. I know that these were supposed to be multi-piece bodies, but again, I'm looking at it and I don't see any seam lines. Okay, when I research this, I always research my guitars before I get them to make sure I know what is unique about them, so that when you go get it, you can make sure that you see those unique features so that you know you're getting the real deal. Right? You want to make sure you're not getting ripped off or scammed. Okay, that volute is one big thing that you want to look for in an early 70s Gibson. The Made in USA stamp, if it's supposed to be an early 70s Gibson, and the pot codes. So I took the back plate off the guitar, and the pot codes read 1971. There was only one pot that I was able to see the numbers on, but the other pots are just as old. They're not newer pots. The soldering has not been tampered with, and those pots all seem to be original. They were very kind of crusty, and I'm really surprised that I don't get any cracking from the pots, but they're as clear as day. I'll play a little bit for you later, but it sounds fantastic. The neck is like a slim 60s style neck. Okay, it's not fat at all, which I really, really like. There are like hardly any frets on this though. The only thing I would really have to do to this if I wanted to was to get it refretted. Now I'm pretty sure, I'm almost 100% sure that these came with like fretless wonder frets, they call them. I'm pretty sure that that's what these came with because they almost look flat to look at them. They don't, like, whenever you get a guitar that needs a refret, some of the frets are going to be better than other frets because of where they got played or how they got played by their previous owner. But every single one of these frets seems to have the same profile and the same shape from number 1 all the way down to 20 whatever that we have. So I want, and they're original because the ends of the frets are all covered with the binding. Okay, we don't see any fret nibs. So these are the original frets. And I want to say these are the fretless wonder frets. And they weren't made to shred, or they weren't made to bend notes. They were made more for like hammering and pulling off and sliding, kind of like Les Paul played, right? That was his playing style. It's faster to get around the neck when you're sliding around instead of bending and doing things like that. But I'm okay with that because I'm not a lead guitar player. I'm a rhythm guitar player. So it's nice and easy to make chords on these. which is good because you don't have to push down too hard. But no fret buzz. See if I can turn it down a little bit. No fret buzz. Nice. Really easy on the fingers. Real easy on the hands. All the way up to the 12th fret. Really beautiful action. Really set low. Really nice. I didn't think I was gonna like it this much. I gotta be honest. Not a huge fan of the witch hat knobs, but I think on this guitar, it just looks right and feels right. And this thing just rips. Hopefully this isn't too loud. Really nice. So I'm loving this. My dilemma now is, because my original plan was not even to keep this. My original plan was to immediately trade this for another guitar I had my eye on. And you might be saying to yourself, why wouldn't you keep that guitar? It's a beautiful guitar. It's in great shape. You like it. It sounds the way you want it to sound. Well, this is the reason I was not going to keep this guitar, because I already have a newer style, a 2024 Les Paul Custom in ebony. I got this in a trade for the 1980 one that smelled like smoke. So that 1981, I put it on Facebook and I said, if anybody has a black one they want to trade, and it's vintage, and people jumped all over it. People wanted it, and I got this within like 2 days. So this was a newer Les Paul Custom. Someone got this from the Mod Shop, the Gibson Mod Shop. So it's a little bit different as far as its appointments than a normal custom you get from the store. Okay, this came with nickel hardware. I changed it to gold, so all the hardware is now gold. But it came with nickel. It came with nickel bridge, nickel tailpiece, nickel strap locks, nickel ring, and nickel tuners. I changed everything so that it would be gold. Spent like $200 on that. And it came uncovered pickups. I'm not 100% sure about what the pickups are. I want to say they're custom buckers because it was a mod shop. Normally these come with 498 and 490 humbuckers, which sound fantastic, but I think these are the upgraded custom buckers. I opened it up and looked at the back of these, but it just has a patent applied for sticker. It doesn't have any other sticker designating the type of pickup. But this guitar plays amazing, and it's just as amazing as that one. It's just as amazing as the vintage one. And I just think this vintage one has so much more of a vibe to it than this one does that I'm gonna keep the vintage one. So the next episode is gonna be about trading this guitar. And this guitar is awesome. This guitar rocks too. Might have a little more juice. Same amp, same settings, all the way up. But I just think the vibe of the vintage one is just cooler than this one, and I think it sounds just as good and plays just as good. This one has lots of frets on it though. That's the thing. It has nice, high, brand new frets. But like all the binding is still really white. Like it hasn't aged at all because it's brand new. Where this one, come on, look at that. Look at that. That just has a vibe to it, man. Makes you want to play classic rock on it. So cool. So that's what's going to happen. So the next trade is going to be for this 2024 Les Paul Custom from the Mod Shop here in Nashville. Until next time, tell me what you think. How'd I do? Did I do all right? I think I did all right. So I got the J-200, traded that for this 1971 Les Paul Custom that I absolutely love, and I'm going to trade that newer Les Paul for something else. I got my eye on something. We don't know what yet, but how'd I do on this trade? You let me know. And until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks, everybody.